welcome to another episode of Kevin's Toy Box. We have not one, not two, but three Hammond Collection toys to look at. Now, these may be very old, but they're also very rare here in Canada. So let's jump right into the review, starting with the human, Robert Muldoon. Now, the humans are the least interesting part of the Hammond collection, but if we were to get just one, it would be John Hammond, but that guy costs an arm and a leg, so we'll have to settle for the second best Muldoon. Now, the most interesting part of the humans is that they come with accessories, an alternate head, alternate hands, and a gun. So you can have Muldoon without his hat, or you could just pop off the head and replace it with the one that does have a hat. Much more effective than making the hat removable. But honestly, I'd rather have the head with the hat than without. But I know what you're thinking. How does a Hammond Collection human differ from a regular one? Well, that's what we're going to find out as we compare him to this random guy. Articulation for regular humans includes left and right motion, slightly up and down, a bit of the arm rotation in all directions, as well as the elbows, and then a little bit of torso swivel, and the legs can move in just as many directions as the arms, and some knee joints. And that's about it. A decent amount of articulation is what I would say if we didn't see how the Hammond Collection compared. Head can move pretty much the exact same way as the other one, but there is a little more up and down movement. Arms and elbows can move pretty much exactly the same way, except this time we have wrist articulation. I know how to speak. Waist can move same way left and right, but also slightly up and down. Legs is the same story, move in any direction, though a lot more loose. And the knee joint can bend a lot more than the original, up to the point where you can actually have Muldoon kicking his own butt. Speaking of which, his foot can also rotate a bit. And those are basically all the improvements this guy has over the regular human. Some figures can remove their arms to take off their jackets, but it looks cooler with the jacket, so why would I do that? So I tip my hat to you, Muldoon. You are a prime example of the Hammond Collection humans. But now let's push the human aside and focus on the real exciting stuff. We were hoping Blue would be our first Hammond Collection Velociraptor, but we could never find her, so we had to settle for her sister Delta. And looking at her now, I wish we got one of the original HC Raptors so that we could compare how far they've come. The head sculpt looks way more fierce than any previous raptor, though the glass eye is pretty redundant considering the pupils on the outside, defeating the purpose of the glass eye in the first place. The tail is definitely lengthier, but unfortunately it's skipped out on a lot of stripes on the tip. This problem extends to the back of her head and neck, which just makes her look bald. And the most notable feature is the much smaller feet. While we don't have an HC Raptor to compare to, we do have a mainline Delta to compare. But I have to say, the mainline variant still has some one-ups over the HC. Feet is not one of those things, as they are a bit bigger and their claws are not as shiny. And while there are no stripes on the tail, there are a lot more stripes on the neck and head, including a much more eye-catching eye. You got it? Though the head sculpt on the HC does look more like Delta. So if you don't have the Hammond Collection one, you should still be happy with this one, as it's still a good toy of Delta, even if the head sculpt is just blue. But enough about the Raptors. Let's talk about the toy that gave everyone hope for the future of the Hammond Collection. The Irritator may have escaped us, but the Metriacanthosaurus we could find. For a good price as well. These things cost like $80 on Amazon. A little note about the tail, there is a specific shape that you have to match for the tail to go in. Of course, it is weird that they make it like this and you have to rotate the tail to the correct shape, but oh well. And there we go, the Metriacanthosaurus, an important milestone in Hammond Collection history, as this guy came with a longer tail and smaller teeth like everybody wanted. And to prove it, we'll compare it to one of the older HC toys, whose feet are slightly bigger than the Metria's. And the tail is the same length? Well, I guess the Cerrato is a bit longer in general, so I guess that makes up for it. Or maybe the longer tail was exclusive to the Irritator. But one thing's for sure, the Cerrato's teeth are way too big and goofy, and the Metria's teeth are much more easy on the eyes. Still rounded, but nowhere near as bad as the Cerrato's. Basically a stepping stone for what was to come in the future. But now let's compare it to the original Metria sculpt. And man, it's night and day with these two. This one is permanently hunched over like a giant Herrerasaurus, but this one can hold itself up high. And while the teeth look sharper on the original, the face sculpt it's just no comparison. This one looks way better, even if the colors are a bit drab, but nothing a paintbrush can't fix. But the most important upgrade is that it can stand. The original can't. And that concludes this review on these three Hammond Collection toys. Which one is your favorite? Mine is Muldoon. But what do I know? I'm just a random lizard on the internet who's ready to sleep. Good night.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video from beginning to end. If you want to see more, subscribe to the channel and join the Zainreborn community. See you in the next one. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.